Okay, welcome to another Adobe Illustrator tutorial. Today we're going to look at the drawing tools. Let's look at the pencil tool first. So under the pencil tool flat, we have pencil tool, smooth tool, and path eraser tool. And we'll come to all of them later. So let's look at the pencil tool in action. Basically it just creates strokes. And I could change the size. This is just a 2-point stroke. Now let's look at it compared to the pen tool, which creates a stroke also. Now if we zoom in, we see there's no difference between the two strokes that are created. If you look very closely, the only main difference is that the pencil tool creates more anchor points than the pen tool does. I don't really know why they call it the pencil tool, because it doesn't look like a pencil at all, and it should be named a freehand pen tool. Because basically that's what happens. Okay, so now let me just kind of draw a raggedy line here. Now if you use the pencil tool, go alongside of the stroke that you've just created, it will smooth it out. So we'll either add points or subtract anchor points. Whatever needed to smooth out the stroke. Now I'm going to go to the pencil flyout menu, and I'm going to grab the smooth tool and do the same thing. The smooth tool, I can go directly over the stroke, and it will also smooth out the stroke that's made. And here's the path eraser tool, which was the third item in the pencil flyout menu, and basically just divides the stroke into many parts. Okay, now let us look at the pencil tool options. So here I have fidelity set at 2.5. And the higher the fidelity, the greater the distance between two anchor points. And here I have the smoothness. I have that set at 0 because I don't want the computer or the application making decisions about how to smooth the line. So I want to be in control of that. Here I have keep selected and edit selected paths. And mainly that's for your benefit so you can see what's going on. And here I have within 12 pixels. But normally I don't have any of this selected because it proves to be very bothersome. So you can decide for yourself what you want to do. Okay, so that completes our look at the pencil tool. Now let's go look at the blob brush. So here you see it creates a stroke, but is it a stroke? No, it's really object fill. It's a shape. So it's an illusion. And no matter what I draw, it always joins to the previous blob shape. And I can use the eraser tool to erase it. And it's still one shape. Unless, of course, I just chop it in half. And then it is two distinct shapes. And also I can use the eraser tool on the strokes, and which is a lot easier than the path eraser tool. Okay, now I can also resize the blob brush by using the brackets. I can use the right bracket to make it larger, and the left bracket to make it smaller. Okay, let's look at the blob tool options. So I don't have these selected. Let's see what happens when I do keep selected. And I draw a stroke, and you see it still remains selected. So every stroke that I draw is selected. But I should make this so you can see the selection. I should plan ahead for these tutorials for things like this. Shouldn't have blue on blue. Makes it very hard to see. Now that's very good. Okay, so you can see that these two selections are together. So the last selection always is joined. So here it joins with anything, even though it's not selected. Whatever the last thing I draw immediately becomes part of the last selection. Now here I've checked merge only with selection. So now it doesn't merge with the previously drawn blob stroke. And now it only merges with what is already selected. Okay, let me show you how to apply some graphic styles here. So here I have Live Reflect selected. So each stroke is reflected. Here I'm going to choose the bevel soft. Now it doesn't inherit the bevel, but it does inherit the gradation. But if I choose a blob that's previously selected, then it will acquire the attributes of the graphic style. And here I have dusk graphic style selected. So use these how you may, even though it may not acquire the style while you're drawing a stroke, that may be something that you want, have that gradations in there. So it's already there for you to use. Now let me get rid of all this and let us look at how to make the blob brush a thick and thin brush rather than just that dead line we've been looking at. All right, I'm going to change the fix to pressure, and I'm going to reduce this size from 18 to 8 point, and I'm going to change the variation to 8 point also. And this is this distance between the lightest pressure, the medium pressure, and the softest pressure. So I'm pressing light, hard, light, hard, light. So they're responding to pressure sensitivity. And this is a much more lively line than anything you can get without that. Oops, I forgot you there. Let me get back to the tutorial here. Okay, let's get rid of this. And let me show you how to do Blob Brush can modify previously created shapes or objects. So with the shape selected, I can just start drawing the blob brush and it becomes one shape. And this is also possible with the pencil tool. So with the pencil tool, you can see the X next to the pencil tool, and then if I hit the Option key, when I get close to end, a little zero appears, a little circle appears, and that means it's going to join the two ends. And now I can fill that. So there's a little trick with the pencil tool. Okay, now with that in mind, using the pencil tool, I start drawing. I have to select it first, select the shape first, and then start drawing, and then hold down the Option key, and then it will join with that shape, and now I've modified that object and shape. Okay, so there's a little quick trick to use with the pencil and blob brush. So we're finished with the blob brush, and now we're going to move on. Now let's take a look at the calligraphic brush. So here you see in the brush panel, these icons are for the calligraphic brush, and the other ones are for different brushes we'll talk about later. And now let me show you what these brushes look like. So we'll start off with the 5-point round, 15-point round, 3-point oval, the 5-point oval, and 5-point flat. So you can see the differences that you get using the preloaded, predetermined calligraphic brushes. These are the default brushes. Now let me show you how to make some changes and get some pressure sensitivity going on. So this is all fixed, so that's why you have these dead lines, because fixed means dead, 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 no life. Let me change it to pressure on the size and change the variation to 5-point. And the variation is never larger than what the brush size is. So now, when I use this 5-point round brush, apply light pressure, harder, lighter, harder, light. And you see I get a much more interesting lyrical line. Harder, light, harder. And you can see the pressure sensitivity is working, and what more could you ask for? So let me get rid of these. And let me show you the second thing that you have to do is make sure your tablet is set for pressure sensitivity also. That's how you're going to get the maximum benefit. So these settings, whether you're on a PC or Mac or using any tablet, should be the same. Basically, you're looking for the tip feel and you want to change that. So right now we're going to change it to soft, and I'll show you what happens when it's soft. Right now, not much of anything. This is still the 5-point round. So let me bump it up a little bit. Nothing noticeable. And bump it up even more. Now I got something going on. It's still nothing to brag about. So let me just go all the way to, yeah, a little bit more. Now this is pretty good too. But still nothing to go sending home letters about and starting a parade. So it's all the way to firm. And now I got the maximum benefit of the pressure sensitivity. So by using the settings in the tablet and the settings in the brush panel, so you're selecting the brush, double click to get the brush options. So I don't want to select the name. So double click and using the brush options. Between these two, you get the maximum benefit of the thick and thin and the pressure sensitivity that's available. Okay, let me get rid of these, and I'm going to show you how you can create calligraphic brushes that you can adjust to fit your drawing style. So I'm going to show you how to create a new calligraphic brush. And I'm going to name this Howard for now because this fits my style. You have to choose one that fits yours. Use this as a basis to get going for yours. So I'm going to change fix to random. And the roundness at 60. And change that to pressure. And the size, I'm going to make 6 point and change that to respond to pressure. And the variation will be 6 point also. So light, hard pressure, light pressure, hard pressure, lighter. You see it responds very well to the pressure. And this is a stroke. So I can expand it by changing the size. I'm not expanding the appearance, it's still a stroke, but the appearance changes because the size is changing. Now let me show you how to create a second brush where there's minimum variation between the light and hard pressure. So I'm gonna call this medium. And change the angle to 70. And this is because I'm right-handed, so you can change the angle to reflect if you're left-handed. And the roundness at 70 also. And the size at 3. I'm going to select respond to pressure. And the variation, I'm going to make 2.5. Click OK, and I'm done. And you see, using this stroke, and I'm pressing really hard on the hard parts. Now I'm going to use the same amount of pressure on the Howard brush, and you'll see the difference. And I press really hard, light, and there's a big difference between the two. So that is the degree of control that you can have by setting it to fit your drawing style. So make sure the brush options are used. Okay, now I'm using the eraser here. And what happens is that the erasers make you lose all the identity of the calligraphic stroke. So I'm going to show you how you can avoid that. So you select them, go to expand appearance, and expand appearance doesn't work because you can only expand appearance one at a time. So let's do it that way. Okay, now we got something going here. All right. There, now we're all done. Now I can use the eraser. Yes, these are all fills, object shapes now. And I can use the eraser and it retains the characteristics of the calligraphic stroke. Of course now, they're not paths anymore. So before you do something like this, you want to be sure that you're done. So I can use it to shape the edges, whatever I want to do with the eraser at this point. I've shown you the pencil, blob, and calligraphic brushes. Now you may think this is all you need to know for drawing, but there are many more tools that I'm going to show you in part 2 of our drawing tutorial segment for Adobe Illustrator. Now for an illustration program, I see a lot of tracing and not a lot of drawing. So these are the tools that you can use for drawing. So this is only the tip of the iceberg. So come back for part 2. And remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe.